You're listening to KTST FM, Orange County. Now broadcasting from coast to coast and around the world at KTSTFM.com. Stay tuned for more.
Welcome to episode 7 of Secret City Geek Lab, your resource in everything geek. Today we'll talk movies, TV, comic books, video games, and anything geek. I'm your host, Alan Ng, and you'll hear from me and members of the improv comedy group, Secret City Comic Society. Today we feature Davey Linam, Dimithri, Perera, and Tom Haggard. Today's show is brought to you by Secret City Comic Society, the best in all ages improv comedy in downtown Fullerton. Visit Secret City Comic Society and the Geek Lab at secretcitycomedy.com. Coming up this week, from Wondercon, Jim Lee talks about being a comic book artist. We'll have a Bioshock Infinite video game review and a discussion of Walking Dead Season 3. This week we do return to Wondercon. Last week we spotlighted Scott Snyder. This week we will spotlight Jim Lee. Jim Lee is a comic book artist who worked for Marvel and infamous X-Men run. He's a founding member of Image Comics and now serves as the co-publisher of DC Comics. You'll hear from his panel where he talks about his life as a comic book artist. And here's that panel now where he does a Q&A session with the audience.
Okay, so does anyone have a question? Yeah, I can't watch any TV while I draw because it's too distracting. In radio or music, the songs are too short, so I listen to Howard Stern. It's like 3 hours long, and then there's a wrap-up show, and then they just repeat it over and over. So if you tune out, it just repeats, and it's great background noise, and it's funny, and it's good interviews, so I don't have a pencil.
How many hours a day do you draw?
Not enough, but I'll usually draw from like 10 o'clock at night till like 3 or 4 in the morning on the weekdays, and then the weekends, I might work till like 10 to 5, something like that. I'll try to get a page done every weekend, and then Mondays and Fridays I try to get a page done, and then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday when I'm up in Burbank for business, if I can squeeze one page out of those 3 days, that'd be great. But I'm working off a full script, so the ideas should be there. The images are not that hard to come by. If anything, I get too many. So, like, if I do a cover, I do like 4 or 5 different covers, and I do one, and then I don't like it, and then I do another one, and do another one, and sometimes I get pretty far along into it, and then I go, I don't like this one. I like the first one best, and then I go back. It's just a process.
Hey, when in the past, when you've drawn comic books and you've had bystanders in the background, have you ever thought of friends or family and put their picture in there I have
put
at page 3, it's you in the background.
Sure. Batman Hush, there's a scene in a Symphony Hall, and there's all these people when Batman's jumping towards Harley Quinn, and I drew a bunch of people that worked at the office in there. I'm not great with likenesses, so I don't do it too often, but sometimes. Okay.
Hey, Jim.
Yes.
All-Star Batman and Robin, Frank Miller. Will we ever see that completed?
When will that be completed?
Yeah, when can we see completion?
I have script for like 2 issues, and I have started. What did I end up with issue 10? So I think I have like 5 or 6 pages done of the 11th issue. That said, Frank is super busy now. He's working on Sin City 2, so it's going to be tough, I think, getting work out of him for the time being. But I would love to finish it up. I mean, I actually don't know how the story ends. The first, 9 issues really is about how Robin kind of enters into Batman's heart, like Batman doesn't want a sidekick, and then finally he accepts him and understands, and they kind of relate. And then the second half is really like who killed Robin's parents and how does Joker play into it. And he introduces all these other characters, and there's this huge 4 or 5 page pullout of Gotham City with the Batcopter over it, which is huge. And I want that to be printed, and put a lot of time into that. So I hope to get it done someday.
So I have a question about costume design, naturally.
Yes.
And now, how when sort of reinterpreting an old costume or creating a new one,
Yes.
how do you decide how to balance, utility with flash, with just all the things that go into an iconic costume and will stand the test of time?
Yeah, boy, that's a tough one. Let me just first say that I think designing costumes in general is a very kind of thankless task. I mean, for the most part, people kind of hate everything that's new or changed. I remember there was an artist, at Marvel, who redesigned the X-Men, and he just the experience was so awful. He just kind of gave up comics for a while. Jeez, I don't know. I think you got to go for the core elements that are critical to the look of the costume, and kind of freely delete or change the things that look a little dated. When we did the New 52, we had a mission statement, which was to update the looks and make them as contemporary as possible. So that was kind of that was the single driving kind of design that was going into all the costume changes. Gosh, I don't know. I know for like Wonder Woman, we got rid of some of the gold elements on her chest, but she still looks like Wonder Woman. So to me, it's a tough one. You just got to go for the big elements that. So if you squint and look at the character from a distance, that you can tell it's still that character. So for me, the red trunks on Superman. I mean, from a distance, you don't really notice them. Oftentimes, they're filled in black for the most part, and they kind of have a red highlight anyway. So obviously, the S symbol, the red cape, the red boots, the blue on the body, that's the kind of stuff you want to keep. So to me, that's the kind of litmus test, is that you don't want it to look at it from a distance and squint and go like, I don't know who that is. So
you're listening to the Secret City Geek Lab on KTST-FM. I'm Alan Ng, and I'm your host today. Coming up next is our Secret City video game review. Bioshock Infinite is a first-person shooter video game developed by Irrational Games and published by 2K Games. Bioshock is available on Windows, Xbox, PS3, and the Macintosh, and is rated M. Secret City's own video expert, Davey Linam, reviews Bioshock Infinite. All right, we have a video game review, Bioshock Infinite, with Davey Linam. Say hi, Davey.
Hi.
All right, tell me, what is Bioshock Infinite?
Bioshock Infinite is about you play a man named Booker DeWitt, and he is sent to this land in the air called Columbia to get the girl to clear his debts.
Where do you start and what's the basic gist of getting around?
The beginning of the game starts you out in the middle of the ocean, and you're sent up in this lighthouse up to the sky into Columbia, where you fall into this church where they worship the founders of the U.S. and this prophet named Father Comstock that everyone in this city, in the air, worships. And they kind of frown upon the people down below because Lincoln had just been elected and they wanted to secede from the Union, so they took to the air.
Okay. So this takes place in the past?
Yeah, in 1912.
Okay, and is it first person or?
It's first person.
First person. And so you're in the middle of ocean, you're on a boat or?
You're on a rowboat.
Okay, and so you're basically, it's a story-based game where you're moving from point A to point B.
Correct. It's a completely single player. Mm-hmm. It's a not open world, so you just play a linear story.
And do you have powers? Do you have weapons?
You do. You get a large range of choices of weapons, between revolvers to RPGs and Gatling gun-like guns. You also have powers called vigors, where you can control fire or lightning or charge at someone and knock them back.
Now we got an idea of what the game is like. What's your initial impression of the game?
Right away, I was floored. The amount of time they took in the scenery, the whole landscape of Columbia was just beautiful. It was very, very vibrant colors. All the extra characters, the background characters, were all had personality, and you could tell work was put into this game. And right away, they get you started with the story, and they teach you of this religion that they practice, and the racism within the story, and they really you easily dive into the game and feel as if you were there.
Okay, so you had a lot of fun with it?
Absolutely.
It was engaging. How long did it take you to play? You said you went through it all.
Yeah. It was about a 12 to 15 hour game.
Okay, and is that pretty good standard-wise?
Standard for a storyline, yes.
Okay, can you be a beginner and play it, or is it pretty difficult?
You can be a beginner. You don't even really need to play the first game to understand this one either. They have the combat can be lowered, so you can play it as a brand new person to the FPS. Okay,
now, and then the other question I have, is it puzzles, or is it just pure fighting all the way through?
It's mainly fighting, but there are, choices you can make throughout the game that kind of affect the way you play. And
is there a level of replayability then?
Yes, story-wise there is.
Okay, so you can go back and replay it.
Yes.
Okay. List off a couple of things you liked about the game.
The combat was very smooth. Being able to fight on the sky rails was nice. It kind of gave the battlefield more levels to the fighting. I could be fighting one person and then jump to the sky rails and fight another person. The scenery was absolutely beautiful, and the characters that they established were just amazing. You could really feel for all the characters in the game.
Okay, and what are some things you didn't like about the game?
What I didn't like about the game was I felt like they needed more of certain enemies. The enemies kind of felt kind of cookie cutter. I needed a little more variety. I mean, there was very much variety, but they needed to add a little more to the normal enemies.
You mean in terms of getting progressively harder, or did it seem like the game was too easy?
No, the game was definitely challenging to an extent. There were enemies in there that were very difficult, but I felt like I kind of needed a little more of a challenge. In the normal mode, I kind of needed a little more challenge than I had. I felt like it was a little too easy for the mode that I was playing on.
So from a scale from 1 to 10, what did you think of Bioshock Infinite?
10.
All right. Well, that's our first 10 at Secret City Geek Lab. Thank you, Davey Linam. The weekend's approaching, and you and your friends have nothing to do, or you're looking for a safe place where you and your family can just laugh. The answer is Secret City Comic Society, OC Weekly's 2011 Best Improv Group. For 90 minutes, the Secret City cast will make up comedic scenes based on your suggestions. No two shows are ever the same, so it's a new experience every time you come. Secret City Comic Society has shows every Friday night at 8 o'clock and Saturdays at 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. in downtown Fullerton. Mention Secret City Geek Lab, and tickets are only $7.50 per person. For more information about one of Orange County's best improv comedy shows, check them out at secretcitycomedy.com or at Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. Coming up next on KTSTFM and the Secret City Geek Lab is our discussion of The Walking Dead Season 3. Season 3 just ended recently, and probably, in my opinion, is the best season so far. And I had a chance to discuss that with members of the comedy group Secret City Comic Society, Dimithri, Perera, and Tom Haggard. Need to warn you, though, that we are going to give some spoilers, so be warned. You're going to hear a lot if you haven't seen the series already. All right, this is Secret City Geek Lab with the discussion of Walking Dead Season 3. In this season, we find our heroes, or our survivors, stumbling upon the prison and ultimately meeting up with the governor. I'm with Davey Perera and Tom Haggard, and we're talking Walking Dead Season 3. Definitely, I feel like that this is the best season of Walking Dead so far. What are your thoughts?
Agreed. Much faster moving than the previous season, where it seemed like it started to drag on at the farm, becoming very soap opera-y. This season, I don't know. I'm a classic. I love guns and shooting, and classic action fan.
All right, Dimithri.
Yeah, no, I thought this season was a lot like Waterworld, the movie Waterworld, except not in water.
How so? What is it about Waterworld then? What's the connection between this and Waterworld?
Well, it's just everybody has their own colonies and whatnot. I originally meant that as a joke.
And the bad guy has a patch. So it was exactly like Waterworld.
And Rick is a lot like Kevin Costner. in the fact that they're both leading males.
Well, this season was definitely we're looking at two leaders. We have Rick and we have the governor. I think, Dimithri, you're saying that they're pretty much the same person at the beginning.
I wouldn't say they're necessarily the same people at the beginning of the season, but learning Governor's backstory, he was just a normal guy. And
thrust into a position of leadership.
Yeah, and so they're both thrust into a position of leadership, and Governor takes it one way, Rick takes it another, but over time, Rick starts to veer more onto the governor's path, and so then, I don't know, and then he just realizes the error of his ways.
Yeah, Rick going from the dictator and what would eventually, inevitably, him becoming like a governor, the reversal of that, and him, at the end saying, I'm not the governor. We're going to have to work together. We need people, that basic human truth that you need to survive using other people. Working together for a goal, even if it's survival.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely saw at the end of season 2, basically Rick saying, if we're going to survive, you got to do it my way. And then in season 3, the complete reversal. If we're going to survive, we've got to be the greater good, basically. We've got to be a community that makes the right decisions.
Yeah, speaking of right decisions, you guys want to get into a moral and ethical debate? Are we doing spoilers here?
Yeah, we're going to spoilers.
Okay, we're doing spoilers, all right? So, Rick taking all those old people back to the prison at the end, all those little babies and kids and nobody of normal age, they're all old or young. Next season they're going to have to go out and go hunting for medical supplies, but they're not going to have any more people that are able to hunt, know? So you're not getting any help with all these old people and young people. Was that the smartest move to make, to bring them back?
I don't know. We saw a pattern.
Fodder.
Yeah. Well, exactly. We saw a pattern of where Rick and the gang were just letting people die. There's a scene where they were going back to Rick's old town, and there's the guy with the backpack, and they just would not let him get anywhere near them.
That guy's dead.
Well, yeah. And then they wind up taking his backpack.
Yeah, well, do what you can to survive.
What is it about that? It seemed like the governor was more than willing to take people in, but it was Rick who was more willing to let people on their own. Tyrese and his gang.
Well, at least they can fight. At least Tyrese and his sister can fight.
Yeah, but he moved them along. He wouldn't let them be a part of it.
Well, that maybe is, that's his trust issue. But now he's being a little bit too trusting. And now he has a bunch of old people to look after. And in the start of season 4, they're all going to be zombie food. And really, what did he gain? He gained a lot of responsibility and maybe one battle bus.
And where is the governor going to go? Him and the few
and
people that he didn't kill. The two people didn't kill. Where are they going now? Because
that's season 4, I guess.
Yeah, and I think Carl it seems like he's become infected almost. As if the disease of the zombie kind of affects people who are still alive.
Ooh, metaphors.
And that it either turns you against people or you're immune from it somehow. And I think Carl seems like he's turning into a mini governor.
Well, let's think about it. Carl basically said, if he had killed the zombie that killed Dale would still be alive.
He was basically saying the same thing the governor was saying, kill or die.
Yeah, or kill people who could kill you. You don't know. Rick should have killed the governor and more people would still be alive. Do you think Carl was right?
No, Carl was, this is one of those cases Carl was obviously wrong. This kid who he shot could have came in handy next season if he was still in the prison, as a good guy, because that kid obviously could work a gun. So that's helpful.
Yeah.
But no, Carl was in the wrong there, and it's kind of in the zombie apocalypse. Things will still be the same. Carl's going through puberty, and I don't know. He's getting trigger happy with this gun.
Wants to prove himself, and now that his dad isn't such a hard ass, he can, kind of take a higher status.
Yeah.
He kind of, when he brings all those people back Carl's like, what the hell is this? What are you doing bringing these people back here? I didn't approve of this.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't need to approve of it. He's like 5.
Right.
Well, something we haven't touched upon, Andrea's death.
Yes. Yeah, I was going to get to that. What do we think about Andrea's death? Everything she had gone through the entire season, and then at the end, dead.
Snooze, you lose. She took so long.
Yeah.
Getting out of those cuffs.
Well, yeah.
Dramatic pauses and staring.
Yeah.
And then it came down to the very last
Well, let's
second.
talk about her arc, though. She at the beginning of the season, she's with Michonne. They're trying to survive, and they stumble upon this village or this city where the governor's in charge. And the appearance is basically, they've made a home. They've made a safe place. And it was her struggle to basically bring, her old group and this new group together.
It just seems like the struggles added up. Like, when she got to the town, she chose to give up her struggle for comfort. But that just made all those, what would end up doing her in pile up. If she killed the governor or she escaped with Michonne or, anything really, she wouldn't have died by Milton.
And what about not taking the chances that she had taken? She had a chance to kill the governor. She definitely had a chance to kill him again until Milton got in the way.
And then,
Right. Milton. What was going on?
Well, it wasn't a big surprise that he's the one who torched the zombies, at least in my mind. It had to be Milton. It'd been too easy if it was Tyrese.
Yeah. Too easy. But I don't know. It diverges from the comics a lot, but then sometimes it comes back onto course. Mm-hmm. So every time when a character dies, like Sophia or Dale or, Andrea, you keep thinking, oh, it's going to go in a new direction. But then it kind of gets back on track just with different people. Mm-hmm. Like Herschel's taking the role of Dale.
Yeah.
And Beth is kind of the role of Sophia. Mm-hmm. And so, people die, but I don't know, there's bunch of new characters now and stuff.
Okay. The weekend's approaching and you and your friends have nothing to do, or you're looking for a safe place where you and your family can just laugh. The answer is Secret City Comic Society, OC Weekly's 2011 Best Improv Group. For 90 minutes, the Secret City cast will make up comedic scenes based on your suggestions. No two shows are ever the same, so it's a new experience every time you come. Secret City Comic Society has shows every Friday night at 8 o'clock and Saturdays at 6:30 and 8:30 p.m. in downtown Fullerton. Mention Secret City Geek Lab, and tickets are only $7.50 per person. For more information about one of Orange County's best improv comedy shows, check them out at secretcitycomedy.com or at Facebook at facebook.com/secretcity. You listen to Secret City Geek Lab on KTSTFM. I'm Alan Ng, and we return to our discussion of Walking Dead Season 3. Okay.
That's pretty cool.
And let's talk about... Oh, go ahead.
I think I should just go to Woodbury, too. I kind of agree with the point that even the governor said, like, why would you want to be in a prison? The prison's not the best place to live. Comfortably, you have a town that's now void of its crazy dictation.
Right. You have to go out and get supplies at the prison, while you can kind of gather it much easier in the city. But I think the issue there was, is the governor going to come back? Governor knows that town way too well.
Yeah, I think he could have dug a hole, right? The governor will dig a hole into Woodbury. Or, maybe he's just on the road, traveling band.
Yeah.
Him, Hernandez, and the other really intimidating guy in the back seat. Maybe they'll pick up somebody else.
Mm-hmm. But, it goes back to the governor and Rick being cut from the same cloth. Rick lost his family. He lost his wife. The governor lost his family, and they both went crazy. Rick started seeing visions of his wife. Up until the end of the season, where he stopped seeing the vision. I think that's what they were implying at the end there. And then the governor just going crazy, trying to seek revenge on Michonne, who had killed his zombie daughter.
I think what's crazy is when the governor kills his own people, and the dead body falls on that one woman, so then she can, fake dead. But imagine if you're faking dead underneath a pile of corpses, and those corpses come back to life.
I know, I was just thinking the same thing.
Because I was you can only pull that trick. That's not a trick you could normally pull.
He hesitated too. He was going to shoot, and then he did. And I was wondering if maybe he wanted a couple of them to become zombies, or
or maybe it was God.
Or it could. It is a zombie apocalypse.
And then finally, the other big death was Merle.
Oh yeah,
Merle. I think they were trying to say that his death at the end was his way of redeeming himself.
Mm-hmm. Little known fact: our own Tom Haggard played Merle.
That's right.
In a sketch that he was in.
A Christmas special.
Walking Dead Christmas special. Oh. You can look that up online.
On YouTube or... okay. YouTube. So look at Walking Dead Christmas special on YouTube, and our own Tom Haggard
was playing Merle. And so when I saw Merle die, I saw a little piece of Tom die.
Yeah. So, do you agree that Merle did what he did as a way basically to redeem himself? Or was he on a suicide mission?
No, I don't think he had to die. And once again, it comes back to the point of he didn't work with anyone, because think if he would have kept Michonne with him, and kind of if they kind of would have mended their relationship.
Tension?
Yeah, if they would have made amends. She could have came along with them, watched that door. They could have done a lot more damage. Could have killed the governor right then. End of show.
Yeah. I mean, I think subconsciously it was a suicide mission. I think he just didn't feel like he fit anywhere, and I think that's what everyone was basically telling him, is he just didn't fit in like Daryl did. That wasn't his family, and so this was his way to redeem the group and Daryl, and that's to take out as much of the governor's gang as he possibly could.
Loners die.
And what did you think of the revelation of Merle as the zombie and Daryl having to kill him?
That was an emotional scene.
Yeah.
Okay, good reflection right there. All right, any last thought? Oh, okay, so we're going to do this. Go ahead.
Well, I do have a last thought. I thought that, I don't know his name, but the guy who was hanging out with Tyrese the whole season, the guy who was butting heads, the white guy, the father of Ben. Yeah. Ben died in that episode where Merle
killed Ben trying to shoot the governor.
Yeah. But this guy, once governor starts shooting everybody, the guy just waits. And he holds his gun at the governor, and he doesn't shoot the governor, and the governor shoots him. Yeah. And it's like, why are you waiting? The guy just literally killed everybody you would know and love. Or even have an acquaintance with.
Personally, I think he just knew he was going to die anyways. Because what, is he going to run? And
no, he could shoot the governor.
Yeah.
He had a gun. He had like a machine gun.
A natural human instinct would be to try. You never assume that you're going to die, so don't try.
Yeah, which is kind of an interesting idea. But
you always got to stretch your disbelief sometimes because, there's some things that don't add up in the show.
Yeah, I mean it's kind of weird, but it's knowing it's that idea of I can kill a zombie real easy, but is it really easy to kill another living person?
I don't know. When he has an eye patch, should be 50%.
It becomes easier and easier. I think the show has shown that it's easier and easier to kill people because in the beginning every death was huge, even if it was a zombie being killed was a big deal. And
well, in the beginning, a zombie you killed was probably someone you knew.
Exactly. Yeah,
now they're random zombies. All right, so having said all this, Dimithri, from a scale from 1 to 10, rate season 3 of The Walking Dead.
I'd say it was a 9. Right. I'm pretty easily pleased, and I thought it was a good season. I didn't think it could have. I mean, it could have been better, but I thought it was good.
Yeah, and I'd say I have no idea where season 4 is going. I mean. Last season, prison. We kind of knew where it is. Now that the governor's off in hiding and they've got a brand new crop of people, not sure where they're going.
I know where they're going. One of two ways: robots or aliens.
Okay.
Yeah.
Tom, from a scale from 1 to 10, season 3.
We'll give it a 9.3.
All right, I'll give it a 9 as well. All right, so this is a Secret City TV review. This has been episode 7 of Secret City Geek Lab, brought to you by Secret City Comic Society. Thank you to Dimithri Perera, Tom Haggard, and Davey Linam. Hoping you come back next week. So visit us online for the daily geek news and reviews of comic books, movies, and television at secretcitycomedy.com. And good night.